Hello everyone, welcome to Hill Street. Today's story is, There's Something in the North Carolina Forest. If you end up enjoying this story, please leave a like. If you enjoy hearing stories from me, please subscribe. Let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Now, let's get into this nightmare. You might be thinking by the title, of course there's something out in the forest. Deer, bears, chipmunks. I know that. But there's something far worse than any of those animals. I live in the Brevard area of North Carolina. It's a nice town. Well, the only town I could afford to live in. My work is located in Waynesville, and it takes a bit of a drive to get there. In the afternoons after work, I like to take the Parkway route home. It's peaceful, especially after a long day. Of all those times I have driven on those roads, not once have I felt uneasy. But the other day, I was absolutely terrified. It was a beautiful afternoon, the sky setting with a pink hue and the air crisp. I had driven my motorcycle that day, knowing the weather would be nice. I was almost off the Parkway, passing through several tunnels. There's one tunnel that stretches for what seems like forever. Pitch black, no other lights except my single headlight. I got a sudden chill, the hairs on the back of my neck rising. I saw the light at the end of the tunnel, slightly speeding up. Out of nowhere, someone or something jumped out into the road. It stopped for a split second, locking eyes with me, and then disappearing down the side of the mountain. I kept going, my heart thumping so loud I could hear it over the rushing wind. I finally stopped at a gas station, far away from the Parkway. That animal, or whatever it was, had looked at me with so much intent in such little time. From what I caught, it stood on 2 feet like a human, but its facial features weren't. It had pale, almost bleach white skin, with no body hair of any kind. The thing's eyes were slightly sunken in, and it didn't have a mouth. What was there instead were these long tentacle-looking things. The hands and feet were like a chicken's, but more meatier. I know what you're thinking. You might be calling me crazy and going to click away from this story. That's fine. I'm writing this story for myself and others out there that have seen this thing. That night, I didn't get any sleep. I tossed and turned, still thinking about the creature. Sometime during the night, I heard strange noises outside my house. I tried playing it off as one of my neighbors messing around in their yard, but I knew what it really was. The following week, nothing happened. No sightings of that creature. Nothing. I tried researching articles and news sites if anyone else spotted this creature. I didn't see anything promising. Just scared people mistaking a bear for a monster in the woods. It seemed this creature, whatever it is, didn't exist. Well, I knew it didn't exist because there was no creature or animal that remotely looked that way. But that was only the calm before the storm. I had rode my motorcycle that day to work, thinking nothing of the week before. As I got closer and closer to my work, I felt eyes staring at me. The rest of the day I felt paranoid and uncomfortable. All my coworkers seemed to avoid me. I was afraid if I told them, they would label me as crazy. My boss made me stay later that day, well, into the night. As the few people that stayed longer went home, I stood by the entrance of the building. I stared out into the parking lot and at my motorcycle. Dread washed over me, and all I wanted to do was turn back around and go in the building. I knew I couldn't, and stepped out, fearing my fate. The drive back home was eerie silent, except for the sound of my engine. There were no other cars on the parkway. I began to feel more and more uneasy as I started going through the tunnels. I got to the long tunnel, speeding up. As I neared the end, I saw a shadow standing there. I tried to maneuver around it, but it stepped aside and yanked me off the motorcycle. I flew through the air, landing on my stomach, all air leaving my lungs. I watched as my motorcycle skid across the road, sparks partially lighting up the tunnel. I gasped for air, trying to push myself up and run away. I tried to stand, only to feel misshaped claw-like hands grab my ankle. I screamed and shook the hand away, running as fast as I could out of the tunnel. I stopped at my bike and reached down to pick it up. Doing so, I heard a wailing scream emit from the creature. I snapped my head back towards it, heart dropping. It was slowly making its way to me, like it knew I couldn't get away. Suddenly it stopped. I turned back around and saw a car driving up. The car stopped. The driver rolling down their window, they asked something along the lines of if I was okay. I waved them off. Looking back at the tunnel, I caught a glimpse of the creature, slowly lurking back into the dark tunnel. The driver that came upon me called the police and ambulance. They took me to the hospital, where I finally realized my injuries. I had road rash on my arms and legs, and my jeans were torn in several places. My adrenaline was gone, and I felt my body become tired by the hour. Every bone in my body felt sore as I sat there in the small room, waiting to be released. A nurse signed off on some papers and told me about my bill. I cursed, knowing the visit was going to cost me. Better costing me money and not my life. As I made my way to the entrance of the hospital, I saw that thing waiting for me in the parking lot. The end. That was There's Something in the North Carolina Forest. If you ended up enjoying this story, please leave a like. I hope you all have had a great day, and have a good night.